In this lesson, we're going to be finishing the volume and antenna areas by adding some detail using Booleans and also some fillet edges. So let me hide these three layers that we have. So we have the volume knob, the antenna layer, and the main body area. And let me pop open the underlay area, and I'll go to the front view. So what we'll be adding in this particular lesson is these details here. They're just offset slightly from the antenna and also from the volume button, but they have the same overall cross-section of them, so they look like they really fit, and it's a nice way to blend the volume control and the antenna into the body. I'll switch that off for now, and let's bring back the main body and the antenna and the volume knob. So in order to do this, we'll need to make copies of our volume button and of our antenna button. So what I'm going to do is select both of these, and you want to make sure that you do this right. And I'm going to right-click on the default layer for now. And we're going to come down here, and I'm not going to do a change object layer. I'm going to go right below it. Make sure you choose right below it. I'm going to select Copy Objects to Layer. Now you saw it flash, and what we have is, if you look, it doesn't look like a whole lot has happened. And this is what we want. We have our volume knob and our antenna, and they're still showing as the same layer colors as those. So that means those are still there, and I didn't accidentally just change the layer of these. But now watch, when I turn off the antenna and the volume knob, I have these still here, and they're showing in the default color. So if I were to select these and go to Properties and look under Layer, or down here under Layer, you can see that it says Default and Default. And I can come back in and I can turn these on, and they cover over them with those colors. So I know that I have copies of them and I haven't accidentally just moved them to a different layer. So let's temporarily turn off the main body as well. Alright, so what we're going to do is take these surfaces and we're going to offset them. But before we do that, we have to turn them into just surfaces. So we'll take both of these and we're just going to explode them. And then I can drag a box around here and get rid of the top, and just a box around the lower and get rid of the bottoms, and right around there, get rid of that top. So now all I have are the two main surfaces that make up my volume knob and the antenna. Let me bring back the main body, and I want that there because when I offset these surfaces, I'm going to use this body to see how far I can go with the offset. So let's start with this volume. So I'm going to select this. Under Surface, select Offset Surface. So notice the arrows are pointing out. That does mean it's going to offset to the outside, which is what we want. If I click on it, now they go on the inside, which I don't want. We want to offset this to the outside. So let's try a distance of 1, and we'll see what we get. Now we don't want to make this into a solid. So now you can see under our command lines, we have solid equals yes as an option. We actually want to click on this and set that to no in this case. The reason we're doing that is when this offsets, if we have that set to a solid, it's not going to fill in this gap at the top and the bottom. What it's actually going to do is offset it from here, 1 millimeter, and the area between the original surface and the new surface will become a solid. So essentially it'll become like a pipe, which is not what we want. So we'll just offset that 1 millimeter and see how that looks. And I think that's pretty good. I'm kind of balancing. I don't want to go too far on this one because the antenna is much closer to the edge here, so we're going to be a little more limited in how far we can go. So I think 1 will work good for that. So we can take this inner surface now. We don't need it anymore. But just in case, I'm just going to hide it instead of deleting it. That way it's hidden. If I need to bring it back for reference, I'm able to do that. Now let's take the antenna and we'll offset that as well. So I'll go to Surface, Offset. Notice my offset still remembers we have it telling it not to make this a solid, which is what we want. Again, this is a hollow object. It's going to make itself into a tube or a pipe if we have that set to solid equals yes. So we do want solid equals no, and we can see the arrows are pointing out. So we'll leave the distance at 1, and we'll see if that'll fit within the main body when it offsets. So if we zoom in here, we can see that this is still inside this main body, so I think we're okay with that one. So just like we did for the volume knob, I don't need that inner piece anymore, but I am going to keep it around just in case. So I'll select it, I'll go up to Hide Objects, and now we have our pieces there. Now in the front viewport, I'm going to switch to ghosted view, and I'll do the quick key for that, which is Control-Alt-G. You can see this is getting a little close to the edge here, but that's all right. As long as I don't make this any shorter, then we'll be okay. And if we switch on this underlay layer, then we have this curve here, and that's going to represent the cutoff that we want to use. So the first thing I'll do in these two objects is I'll select both of them. I'll go up to Solid, and I'm going to select Cap Planar Holes. So now that's capped both of those. If I go up to Perspective, we can take a quick look at that. So there's a cap on that. There's a cap on that. And if I Control-Alt-G, you can see we have caps on the inside as well. So Control-Alt-S to go back to shaded. So now that these are solids, this makes it very easy for me to come through and clean this all off. So all I'm going to do is draw a control point curve. And I might make a 4-point curve going through here. Don't worry that it doesn't match exactly. Remember, we're just going to edit the points and get it to where we want it to be. So I've hit F10 to turn on the control points. Let me just select both of those for now, and we'll bring that up and see what that's looking like. That looks pretty good. We'll just kind of tune that up a little bit. Just a little lower there. And I think that'll work. I'll hit Escape twice to switch off my control points. And then I can turn off the underlay. I don't need that right now. All right, so I have my gumball switched on. If you don't have yours on, go ahead and turn that on. I'll show you a nice little feature of the gumball. I can select this, and I can drag this using my green arrow. And if I would just to let go of it, then all I would have done is to move that curve back here. But if I hold down Control, you'll see those two lines appear. I'm just letting go of Control now, so I'll hold Control. Those two lines appear, and what that's giving me is a preview of the surface that'll go through here if I let go. So I'm still holding down Control, and I'll let go of my left mouse. So now we have a surface through here, and we can use that to cut away at this material. So we'll go under Boolean to do that, and we'll do a Boolean split. So I want to pick the surfaces or poly surfaces in this case. We're going to split. Once I have both of those selected, I'll hit Enter, and then select cutting surfaces. I'll pick this object. Now if I delete this, I can come back, delete this, and that curve, again, I'll move that over to my curve layer now that we're finished with it. And in the next lesson, let's continue working with these poly surfaces.